No cold open this time. Hey guys, it's Adam.
Hey.
I'm Patty from Rescue Michigan. I'm actually at a 4-H hall in Coldwater where I just give a precinct leadership lecture. So not the usual studio, but I figured we should get this show done though, because the convention starts tomorrow night.
Yeah, tomorrow's the big day. That's right.
And I kind of already gave away that I'm not going to make an endorsement, but I also feel here's the thing: if I was to endorse any candidate, I know there'd be some people I know that would hate me. And I honestly don't think it's absolutely clear cut. Like, I think there's pluses and minuses in all these candidates.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think we should just talk about it. And, I think one of the things we said at our state candidate forum is we're doing this because we want you guys to decide. And yeah, so we did ours and you did yours, Patty, which I got to be a part of both of, which was
You're
fun.
awesome.
So
yes, thank you. Yeah.
There's well, yours was outstanding. Ours well, there's things I liked about it, but apparently the audio was not good for the internet, and I thought it was because we had two microphones, but apparently the issue was the PA speakers were giving too much into the microphones, and that was causing the echo, and that's always a bummer because
you tried.
Yeah, I think I don't know if there was any other candidate forum that was posted live or anything like that. So,
I don't know.
But we've now seen a good bit of all three of these candidates from these these two events, so we can talk about their performance and I guess there's the big news tonight. Obviously, Trump has made an endorsement. Did I just lose Patty? I assume she'll come right back, but I'm sure you guys have seen text floating around. But yeah, the big news that is that there's Patty. Here we go.
Sorry, I don't know what happened there. Okay.
It's all good. But I was just saying, obviously, the story is that Trump has endorsed Meshawn.
Yeah, saw that. Yeah.
Which, that might mean that he strongly prefers her. It might mean he sees what the polls say, or who knows? I don't have an eye into Trump's brain. And I think all of us should really just... I think the number one criterion should be, who do we think is going to be most successful for the party next year? I think that's all there is to it.
That's all there is, yeah.
And I don't know that, frankly, if you've been to two of our candidate forums, you probably know the candidates better than Trump himself does. But
that's a good point, yeah.
But I don't know. I think we should at least talk about all three. And like I said,
but arguably, though, he knows Meshawn, obviously. We know.
Yeah, he'd probably know Meshawn better.
Yeah,
he'd probably know Meshawn better. And Meshawn is, to be fair, she is a day one Trump supporter. I know because I was in the room when we watched the very first presidential debate in 2015, and Meshawn was like, "I love Trump," like right then and there. She's like, "Oh, he's so funny and great." She is a day one Trump supporter.
Yeah.
But it's not Trump on the ballot next year. It is the Republican candidates for governor, attorney general,
right. That's the
secretary
thing.
of
Like,
state.
Trump was never, I know, well, there's some people trying Trump 2028, but come on, he's going to be like 80 whatever years old. But
yeah, that'd be what we call a heavy lift to amend the Constitution.
I don't think, no offense to people working on it, but just let's work on value-added things, and that's not it, in my opinion. But he's never going to be on the ballot again. Yeah. So what's going to happen? Is always going to be the litmus test. I don't know. It's weird to me.
Yep. So let's talk about the candidates. And again, folks, if you want to consider Trump's endorsement, you are welcome to do so. And some people are going to say, well, I want the candidate who's the most conservative or who's most closely aligned to my values and all that. I really think the state chair position really has to be someone who's just going to be good for the party, because that's what the job is, like I just gave this chat here. It was an event hosted by the Branch County Republican Party, and right before I spoke, Tim Walberg spoke, and then got up and left, and he says, we really got to elect Republicans because blah blah blah. And then the local state reps constituent services person was there, and she gets up and is explaining what's going on in Lansing, and then she gets up and leaves. And so now all the politicians people are gone, and I'm like, well, look, I'll tell you guys, like, when I'm wearing my Rescue Michigan hat, I will criticize any Republican for anything. When I'm wearing my GOP hat, I don't, because that's not what the job is. It's not the job description, and I don't think you should be sitting in a Republican office for an ideological purpose. I think it should be, if you're going to be the state chair, your job is to win the whole state for every Republican, and no matter who they are. And that's not a job I would ever want personally, which, I mean, I think that's something we should, maybe this would be a good starting point, is what do you think the motivations are for the three of these candidates? We have Jim Runestad, who's going to be termed out of office, and he can't run for anything else because there are a lot of lawmakers who are now going to be given the new eligibility to run for certain offices. People like John Riley could run for a fourth term in the state house now. Not that he's going to, but Jim can't. He is on I think his 12th year in office, so he won't be able to.
Okay.
Well, he's in his 11th year in office now. He was in state house for 2 terms. Now he's in his second term in the state senate. So. In the second half of that term, so he's in year 11. There is Meshawn, who was the co-chair in the past, and there is Cella, who I guess has been involved in a lot of campaigns. You notice we both asked him about campaigns he's been involved with, or both of our events. People asked what campaigns he's been involved with. He would never say. Like, I kind of remember, maybe
he said what the positions were, and I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank
now.
Not
the names. He didn't say the names.
No,
I think I've heard names in the past. Like, I think I might have heard someone say he worked for Jim's. No, see, I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Yeah, I don't remember. I'm sorry.
I don't want to say the wrong thing. Yeah. But it's interesting that he didn't say who he used to work for. Like, that was something he would say. I worked for a U.S. senator as a regional director. Like, and then I worked for, so-and-so's campaign for state rep and state senate, and I worked for the caucus for, in some role. I was kind of vague about that. But anyway, we'll talk about each of the candidates.
Spence Abraham? He didn't say Spence Abraham's name?
He might have. I thought I might have heard of Spence Abraham.
Yeah. Fred Thompson, yes. Yes.
Fred Thompson was Fred Thompson a U.S. senator? I know he ran for president.
Yeah, he was on Law and Order.
Right? Yeah. Interestingly enough, because one thing that came up in both of the discussions was this guy used to be in Michigan a long, long time ago, but it's so long ago that no one I knew who he was in the past. Deb says it was Spencer Abraham. Although it couldn't have only been Spencer Abraham, because he mentioned a bunch of other roles he had too.
Yeah,
but
I should have been taking notes. I shouldn't rely on my memory, because obviously it didn't work.
But anyway, shoot, I forgot what I was saying just now.
Well, we started with what their motivations are. Yeah,
so let's go back to that. So Cella, I remember what I was just talking about too, was there are people in Michigan that remember him from like the 90s. Like Tom McMillan remembered him from way back in the day. And okay, I don't want to put words in Tom's mouth, but I think he might have said something like he was actually one of the like fiscal hawks in our group. Like he and Leandro Lett and him knew each other like way back in the 1990s.
I mean, I hadn't heard of him. I've only been involved, maybe 4 years now, but all my Catholic friends, they're like, oh yeah, they knew him. They all knew him.
Yeah. Oh, John C. King says, yes, he was a senator from U.S. senator from Tennessee. Okay, well, there you go. I guess that shouldn't surprise me since he ran for president. It'd be weird if he had no role in the federal government before becoming a presidential candidate. Yeah, just on Law and Order.
Like Trump.
Yeah, well, there's nothing ordinary about Trump.
There's no
But
other.
anyway,
Be another one. I mean, yeah, we're living in an amazing time. That's for sure.
yeah. So Cella, and I remember like the first time his name came up, someone says to me, he must be who the Trump people want, because why is he here? Why would he be back in Michigan out of, all of a sudden, if not because someone in
I don't think
Washington
he
wanted
left
to?
Michigan. He lives right south of Ypsilanti.
He said in our event that he's only been out of Michigan for 2 years.
Yeah, when he was ambassador. Yeah.
Well, but he was in Washington for a time too.
Working?
He said he worked for the caucus staff, and I think he said he worked for a congressman. Well, anyway. Yeah, I think with Cella, like, certainly he clearly has the resume for a state chair. There's no question about that. He has done all the jobs. I'm sure he has access to wealthy donors. Like, that is part of the thing. There's no question about it. I have to say, there was moments in both of our events that I was very surprised by him in a not positive way at all. There was the Canton event when he was asked about the charge that he was an establishment type person, and I said this the other day on the stream, but that's a question you would expect people to be asking if you were the candidate, and you would have a canned answer for it. And yet he took it personally. Like, he was like looking at Matt and, how dare you say that? And I resent this question, sir, because I've been to this and to this and to this, which are not exactly outsider jobs. Like, yeah, okay, I've worked in the US Senate, I've worked for a congressman, I've worked in the state, I've worked in Lansing, and I've been an ambassador. And it's like, yeah, that sounds kind of insidery, but he really didn't. It wasn't so much the answer, but the loss of composure was surprising. And then in the event in Ann Arbor, did you see where, like, halfway through he's got his laptop open and he's got his phone out and he's shining his flashlight in the front row of the audience? That was,
I heard about that. I heard
it's all on tape.
It's exaggerated a little bit. I heard it was like 20 seconds that the flashlight was on. That's all.
It was 20. Well, I was seeing it as it happens, and it felt like 20 long seconds. I heard Meshawn use that. And yeah, I mean, first of all, like,
accidentally turned it on. I mean, are you gonna hold that against somebody? Like, it's a button right here on your phone. Like, it's very easy he could have hit it. Who knows,
Well, I get offended when people are whipping out their phones, and he had his laptop, and like, yeah, and I mean that, but
I know. I was just showing an example, but yes, I know.
Well, people asked me after, like, why didn't we shut that down? Because he had his laptop out, and I was just like, well, because it was all on tape. I'm like, let the audience draw their own conclusions about this stuff.
I didn't notice it from where I was sitting. I couldn't see it, actually. I was where was I, in the fourth row, I think, fourth or fifth. I couldn't see it. Yeah.
Well, you could see it on the screen, and the flashlight was like blinding. Like, that was like, what are you doing? Like, why is your flashlight out? Now, these might be small things in the scheme of things, and we should talk about the other candidates too, because I think we'll be talking just about him. They've all got minuses, guys. They've all got minuses. So Meshawn, who I thought at the forum in Ann Arbor turned in the best performance. Did you notice? Because a lot of times I've seen candidate forums where sometimes it's two candidates, and one of them will be sitting. They'll be sitting at a table, and one guy will give the first answer, and he'll still be sitting down, and then the other guy, when he's called on, he'll stand up to give his answer. And yet at this one, so Meshawn's in the center. The other two are to either side of her, and they're both standing up to answer each question. I thought Meshawn looks like she had more composure by not standing up to answer the questions. I thought that worked better.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really give that any consideration. I don't know. Because when we were at the 6th congressional meeting, whenever that was one of the first times the candidates were all there and in front of the room, and actually Joe got a chair and sat down. So it was more like a fireside chat kind of situation. So
yeah,
I don't know. I think people just, I don't know.
Well, so there's at least two things people
And
really
we
need to
couldn't see
be.
them. I actually appreciated when they stood up. Like I said, I couldn't, when they were sitting down, I couldn't see them.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Like at my forum, it was, stadium seating. So.
Yeah. I would say also, like, Meshawn and Jim were both good with the microphone. Joe was surprised. He was not speaking loudly to the microphone. He does not have it up near him, so he didn't sound very loud at all. And I even had to say at some point during the event, I was like, guys, we are live on the internet and we're trying to have it sound good. Make sure you hold the mic up right up to your face so people can hear you. And Joe did not get that memo, but he didn't sound as good.
Yeah,
but anyway,
microphone usage is a big problem for a lot of people. They think they don't have to, they can just put it like way out here. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
You gotta eat it.
But all that said, I mean, the two things about Meshawn that cannot be ignored by anybody. One is some of the things she says on social media, which weren't wise to say, especially if she was probably the fags and hags remark, which she said that was what, the DNC of last year, not very long ago. And there've of course been a lot of things in the media, which again, these are all things that we, the grassroots, love to see, but the candidates on the ballot don't like to see a state chair with that kind of drama, and donors don't like it. I mean, that is stuff that's going to alienate some segment of the donor class, whoever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, and it's funny, we all forgot to ask her this question. Doesn't she still have pending felony criminal charges?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of a thing. Like that's a thing that.
Did you read? Caitlin Buss had a op-ed or an opinion piece about it today in the Detroit News.
Oh, I'm sure the Detroit News hates her guts.
Caitlin Buss is a conservative.
Oh, did she have what was the article like? Was it sympathetic about that? I mean,
no.
See, don't get me wrong, guys. Like, I understand that these are bullshit charges and she shouldn't be having to face any penalty for being an elector. But I also understand that these are things that can become negatives in a campaign environment, and they're things that you don't want to be something that's going to be used to smear the candidates by association with.
Listen, I mean, when we're trying to get candidates elected, we don't need the chair to be the story. And they're going to I think they'll make her the story, which, it shouldn't be. The chair, in my opinion, people need to not even know who the chair is.
Yeah, I think in general, that's the right attitude. Matt Wilkes is Meshawn. Plus, it's huge energy, great with grassroots. Yep. Agreed. Minuses, social media gaffes, and can she bring in money, which is an open question. And yeah, I agree. Aaron says the charges should be dropped in about a month. Why? Why would they be dropped in about a month?
What do you know, Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't they be dropped by now then? Hasn't they been hanging over her for like years now? So there's this. Next, and there's more to talk about too, but I want to also talk about Jim Runestad because he's got a lot of pluses too, and also some minuses. Now, in full disclosure, guys, I have to tell you honestly, when Christina Karamo was removed as chair a year ago, I called Jim Runestad and I was like, I think you should run for chair.
Well, you started this?
Well, I might have put the idea in his head, maybe. But, at the time, and even then, I mean, the issue that was going to be a thing, and now definitely will be a thing, is, but you're a state senator. And we both questioned him at our events about this, and he's like, yeah, well, if I'm by the way, maybe
apparently there was something in Macomb tonight, and he couldn't go.
What was in Macomb?
A candidate forum, or no, that's not true, because Cella did a Zoom at 8:30.
Let me know, guys, in the chat if you know, because it's only I have not confirmed this, but Jim has not said he would resign from the Senate if he became chair, has he?
He has not said that.
He has not said that.
Said he's full on, can do both jobs.
Yeah, and No, you can't.
No, you can't.
You just can't. And I think Meshawn is, because she mentioned this at the events, and I think it's overblown to say, and it would be unethical for him to be able to raise money for the party while he's in the Senate building. Yeah, well, there's ways around that. They know how to leave the building. They do that easily enough all the time. But the fact is, yes, you do have a certain commitment as a state senator, period. And you might minimize that because, okay, it's your last term and the Democrats are in the majority, so we can't get anything done anyway and all that. But here's the thing. You still have a district. Like, and this is something I guess maybe a lot of politicians don't think about, but when you retire, you should see to it that your district is going to be well tended for. And I guess a lot of them don't,
I like that question at your forum about who's your successor. That's a good question.
Yeah, well, I think the other question, I mean, yes, that question in particular, who do you think the successor will be? But also, what do you think you're doing to whoever the successor might be? Because, okay, fine, if you want to be an absentee senator while you're being the state chair of the party, your constituents won't like that. And the next person running for this seat is going to be up against my senator has been AWOL for the last 2 years. I don't think I want to have another Republican. They might, and as I understand this, and I could be wrong, I think the current district that Runestad represents right now is a safe seat, but because of a recent court decision involving the redistricting that had to be redone, the new Senate seat will be a lot less safe again. And so by being state chair and not being a president senator who's working the district all the time, you're jeopardizing the seat. It's like, and I mean, this is a real problem because, well, like Pat Colbeck, he had a seat that was considered safe. Then he went out and ran for governor and was drooling all over the state and bad-mouthing Republicans about not being conservative enough. And what happens is the Democrats took the Senate seat and have had it, and the House seat after that. They've had them all ever since. That whole area has been lost to the Democrats. And when John Riley was in his last term, like, we made sure that we had a solid conservative to replace him when he retired, and Josh Shriver has lived up to that expectation. But that is a problem, and no matter how great a chair Jim Runestad might be, that is going to be a problem. Period.
Unintended consequence. Like, that's good. You got to think about that stuff.
Yeah. Now, on the positive side, the thing I would say about Jim is I think there's two kinds of fundraisers. There's successful fundraisers. There's people who are in the club and they can raise the money by calling their buddies and just getting the money. Like Ron Weiser is in the club. Joe Cella may likely well be in the club. And then there are people who can raise money because they are really, really skilled at closing the deal, at saying, here's the plan, here's what we're doing, I need your $1 million check today. And Jim is one of the few people that actually does have that gift. Like, he's been in the Senate for a long time, before that in the House, before that the county commission. And he has had to raise money for a long time, and he's gotten actually surprisingly dang good at it. And the other thing I'd say about Jim too is he truly, I mean, all this smears about part-time Jim is complete bullshit. Anybody who knows Jim knows he works his ass off, and he is a hardcore. And he's mentioned this too, and he very much unlike Meshawn Maddock, when he tangles with the Democrats, he wins because he is very sharp at messaging. Like, he is actually good at messaging in a way that they have difficulty handling. He doesn't make error-prone stuff. He doesn't botch the messaging. He's very good at that kind of delicate messaging. So he does have these things going for him. But on the other negative side, but it must also be said on the negative side, his pick for co-chair is appallingly bad. And it really makes you wonder how much he understands the grassroots at all. Because, Burnett Smith was first silent about the whole Karamo stuff, then refused to concede. And Jim is clearly the disruptor's pick. Like, there's no question he's the disruptor's pick.
That's for sure. Well, yeah, you can see he got endorsed by Washtenaw and 13th Congressional.
The Washtenaw commies, which is not good. And frankly, like, if he just endorsed if he'd picked anybody that no one had heard of to be his coach, or just someone who's like a hard worker.
Yeah, that didn't hurt him. Like this
that would have been better than Bernadette Smith. Yeah, I know he's lost supporters from people that saw who he picked for coach there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this also too, because I know Jim Runestad pretty well. Like he was down the hall from us when I worked for Briley. Actually, for a time, shared an apartment with one of his staffers. Jim he's one of these people who is very much like go 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 go. Like there was a state senator, state rep Pete Lucido, who was like this. Now he's the Macomb County prosecutor, where he would work his staff extremely hard, and like Jim's the kind of guy who, if there was a story in the news in the morning, he ordered a bill for it that same day, like, and was like messaging on it like immediately. But by the same token, Jim is also somebody who is always in the executions. Like, so we like to say like leadership is planning, preparation, execution, evaluation. Politics can just be in go, 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 execute, execute, execute. Jim's like that. He's very much someone who is just, he will have a 1,000 spinning plates running, and some of them will fall. Like that's just the kind of, and that's not to say that that's not necessarily a good strategy. Like Pete Lucido was known as the guy who got the most public act because that's what he did. Is like, my goal is to get as many bills signed into law as possible. Didn't matter if they were big deals or small deals, but that's what he did, and he got them done. So, I mean, that could be a good approach. Rand Martin says, "Can you?"
I gotta go get a Kleenex. I'll be right back because I do want to speak on this guy. Hang on.
Well, then I'll hold the question because I don't know anything about the guy. When Meshawn mentioned his name, I'd never heard of him before. I'll read a couple of chats here real quick. Let's see. Morbid Monkey says, "I like Jessica," meaning Jessica Bearfield, Joe Cella's co-chair. Joe is Nikki Haley after disregarding Trump's wishes. I assume I assume Morbid Monkey's talking about Jessica. Jessica Bearfield's great. I don't know what you mean about Joe disregarding Trump's wishes. If you mean because Trump endorsed Meshawn and he didn't drop out tonight, I wouldn't drop out just because Trump endorsed his opponent. I mean, first off, Trump's endorsement didn't win for Matt DePerno 2 years ago. And secondly, Trump could have endorsed very early in this race. He chose not to. He chose to wait until the last minute, which means maybe he didn't have a strong opinion and only decided to at the very end. It's also possible that, when you've already put yourself all in, I know for a fact that Jim said, if Trump endorses Meshawn early, I won't jump in. But Trump didn't endorse Meshawn early, and so Jim did jump in. So now, 2 days before the convention, you're going to drop out? It seems to me that you should, at this point, stay in. Anyway, you want to talk about
well, yeah, just pull up Lawless's message, because that's about what I was going to say.
So Lawless says, they say Alfonso had millions for Trump, but his personal relations are less than 10,000, and mostly to Democrats like Rosemary Bayer.
That's my state senator, Rosemary Bayer. He maxed out
one of the dumbest Democrats in Lansing too.
In 2022, maxed out,
which is extremely, extremely recent.
His in-state donations are mostly dumb. He's an Obama supporter. And I understand people change, whatever, but the 2022 to Rosemary Bayer, I mean,
yeah,
and
that's crazy.
That one just sticks in my head because she's my senator, and we had a good candidate running against her in 22. He's, Northville Township treasurer, had experience, and
Rosemary Bayer is an extremist and an idiot. And I can't imagine why anybody would give her a dime if they weren't a hardcore Democrat. And yeah, I get people change, but they take some time to change normally. And it's very, and by the way, also, I just caveat, I have not been able to corroborate any of his donations, neither to Trump nor to Rosemary Bayer, but I'll take your guys' word.
I looked them all up.
Okay, yeah, Matt's okay. I'll take you and Matt's word on it.
I looked them all up, yeah, and then And also, I mean,
claimed
he raised millions
claimed,
for President Trump. I don't know. I mean, no one's. I don't know how they show that. I don't know where that is. Do he have a PAC? I mean, who knows what he's got?
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, going back to some other comments here. Yeah, Jeff Fuss says Cella worked for Trump and the USA, well, as an ambassador. And he says, if anyone's disrespect for Cella's cloture, they have issues. Yeah, Jessica Bearfield is fantastic. I don't give him much credit for being an ambassador. Being an ambassador to Fiji, especially, that's it. Typically, that's the ambassadorship you get as a reward for giving lots of money, is what that usually means. Jeff says Jim's co-chair is a welfare fraud gal, totally against anything in the GOP platform, and has she no shame? Yeah. Yeah. I like I said, guys, all of these candidates have pluses. They all have minuses. That is just the way it's going to go. And really, like, the most important thing I hope you guys take away from all this is don't take it too hard if your candidate doesn't win or someone doesn't support your candidate. It's not that important, okay?
No,
it's just
the
not.
fights I'm seeing with people, it's just crazy. Like,
yeah.
What are you going to do? We're also involved. I mean, I just look at 2 years ago, versus now, there's fewer candidates, so there's more focus on a small number of people, right? Although, I mean, 2 years ago, some of them didn't stand a chance, but still, I mean, you go to these forums and there's sometimes 8, 10 people on the stage, right?
Yeah.
So
all of these candidates are qualified. Like, they just are. They all have liabilities. Yeah,
Holly,
Monkey
I don't remember
asked,
how close the race was.
did Joe Cella help remove Karamo? Did Meshawn? Did Jim Runestad? No, none of them did. That's gonna have to do it, and that's fine.
Yeah,
I guess
none of them did.
Yeah.
That's Jonathan. He loves Meshawn all of a sudden.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, Richard says no matter what, all these options will be day and night better than Karamo. Yes, they will.
Yeah, for sure.
If Jim Runestad becomes chair, he will not be the chair the disruptors think he will be. There's no question about that. Will he be a hugely successful chair? I don't know. Will Meshawn? I don't know. Will Joe Cella? I don't know. Can we trust any of them to be neutral? I don't know. Joe Cella, and all of them say they will be. Does that mean it? I doubt it.
Will they be? Because 2022, there was endorsements and primaries.
In 2022, the Maddocks were recruiting primary challengers, which ended up going completely disastrously in the state house.
But they also endorsed at convention, the first time ever, I think.
Who did?
Meshawn did.
Oh, who'd she endorse?
Christina and DePerno.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I mean, it's her right to endorse people. But I think the fact they were recruiting candidates means. Well, the thing is, and people don't probably appreciate this, the Lansing people hate the Maddocks because of who they recruited in the 2022 cycle. They recruited primary challengers to some of their colleagues, and their colleagues know it. So that is going to be something that makes a lot of Lansing money not willing to work with Meshawn. Jim Runestad has a fair share of enemies too, for the same reason. But if we're talking about people putting their finger on the scale, I can't promise you that Joe Cella will be neutral either. You just can't. You don't know.
And that's the chance you take, with everybody, right? Like we said.
Yeah.
Pluses and minuses. It depends. What do you think the role of the chair is? Is it to be just to raise a lot of money and be behind the scenes? Is it to be out throwing punches? Is it to be hogging all the media, or should the media be going to candidates? I mean, the media should be going to candidates, not the chair.
Yeah, I think the most important thing to think about for who you're going to support for chair, guys, is when we have a candidate for governor, and we have a candidate for secretary of state, and we have a candidate for attorney general, and we have a candidate for U.S. Senate, who will be the chair that will be the best position to do the most for them to help them? That's the biggest question to me. And you guys are all gonna have to come up with your answers on your own. I mean, I think we've talked about a few different things here, but not.
Yeah, Ron, I think we did. I mean, we're just kind of talking,
but we're all no.
What happened in the past, but yeah, I believe they did that.
Yeah. This is the question that Patty was just answering, by the way.
Yeah, sorry guys.
Yeah. Well, what often happens is candidates say they don't endorse, but they make things happen. You know?
Yeah, or people learn, right? Maybe Meshawn's like, you know what, I'm not going to do that again. I learned I shouldn't have done that. You never know. People change. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there has certainly been speculation, and not completely unfounded, that Hoekstra had a hand in guiding the Washington money towards Mike Rogers to run for the U.S. Senate race, which botched that whole thing up. Because you keep in mind, Mike Rogers and Pete Hoekstra clearly both knew each other very well. They were both former chairs of the House Intelligence Committee, for crying out loud. So the fact that the NRSC money and Trump's endorsement went straight to Mike Rogers right from the get-go, it would be a pretty safe.
He wasn't even the chair yet.
Huh?
Or there wasn't even talks of him being the chair yet. Trump endorsed Hoekstra, like.
No, Trump endorsing Rogers.
Trump endorsed Rogers.
When was that? Let's look it up.
When was that? It was early.
It was early, but early could be like in March. It was March 11th. So it was right after Pete Hoekstra became chair.
Oh, it was. Okay.
Yep. So, yeah. So is there any guarantee that Joe Cella wouldn't be talking to former Senate colleagues at the NRSC? I don't know. But is there a possibility that that Jim Runestad or Meshawn Maddock might be less than enthusiastic about some nominees? That's hard to say too.
Yeah.
I strongly encourage you guys to avoid putting much weight into the rumors and speculations and things you don't know, and lean into the things we do know about them, from their backgrounds and from their answers in the candidate forum events, which you can see the video of ours. I know the echo is a little bit annoying, but if you haven't seen it, like, look at their answers and be like, if I was a donor, who would I have the best time talking to? I think that's a big deal. And like I said, guys, I'm not endorsing. I don't have a clear answer for you. I don't know who the best choice is. I think I could pick one if you made me, but look, I think if I was to state a preference, I think I would do nothing but make a lot of people angry at me, and I don't think it's worth it, because I don't think this is as clear cut as it was 2 years ago. I mean, 2 years ago, the only candidate remotely qualified to be chair was Scott Greenlee. And this is not the case we have this year. They're all qualified. They'd all be fine, and I mean that. Let me read some chats here. Mark Ashley Price says, for me, one, I would choose the candidates carefully. Whoever wins this convention, I hope they get in touch with the voters in Highland Park. Yeah. Dan says, I thought we don't do endorsements, and I haven't. The Commission hasn't. We are not endorsing, and I personally am not endorsing. I personally have endorsed candidates in the past for other roles, but not for this one. Dan says, hard to see who else in that race Trump or the NRSC would get behind. Why not Sandy Pensler, who's a self-funder? He knew some people in Washington. He'd met with Rand Paul. I know that for sure. Maybe that's why they passed him over.
Or Rand. I love Rand.
John C. King says, are there any halfway reliable poll numbers that have come out? Please, folks, vote for who you think will be the best chair. Don't pay. The polls don't matter. It's a runoff. You don't lose your vote unless you leave early. If there's 2 rounds and you leave after the second, you can vote for your best of the 3, and then you can vote for your best of the remaining 2. Vote for who you think will be the best chair. That's all I'm endorsing. Any other chats? I have to go back.
Do you want to talk about vice chairs or no?
I feel like I don't know them well enough, honestly. And I also don't think it's important enough. Maybe some. Hassan Naimi was great, and the Dearborn community really did come through for the party last year. So I think they should keep him. But apart from that, I mean, we had 3 or 4 youth chair candidates speak the other night. There's some drama about that, which I guess the Livingston County chair weighed in and went after one of them for some reason, which I don't know.
He wasn't at your forum, but the other guy was at your forum that some stuff came out about today. I don't know if you're
no, and it's probably, I mean, this is,
I don't want to repeat it, but
well, you probably shouldn't, because this is this is when campaigns get really dirty and ugly and full of lies, and that's the way they always go. So I wouldn't do it that way, guys. I'd say if a candidate for vice chair called you, reached out to you, you met with them at an event, that'd be a reason to vote for them. Then let's let the guy that campaigned the hardest win, I think I've read most of these. Gray Wolf says, I'd rather see Jim take on Stevens in 26. Well, that's not happening now. Yeah, Jim Runestad going after Haley Stevens for Congress. Unfortunately, that door has been closed. Going back to what we were saying about Meshawn, Aaron says because the judge is going to make her ruling soon. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, Aaron, but there's a motion to dismiss, which maybe the judge will do that, and that'll be great. But if not, I mean, the case is going to go on to trial, and there might be more motions. For all we know, courts can take an extremely long time.
That's for sure.
Richard says, just as a casual observer, the felony charges may not be that bad. Even normies have seen Democrats have weaponized the justice system against Trump. True, but not everybody feels that same way. Yeah, and here again, guys, you have to be careful. I know Meshawn wears the indictment as a badge of honor. I don't think any less of her for that. I think that the cases should be dismissed, and I would not hold it against her that she's been charged. But that doesn't mean every single Republican voter out there isn't saying, I want to be done with 2020. That's what some of them are going to be thinking. That is just the way it goes. Like that. I mean, that's what they tried to do to Trump, was get him on criminal charges. It didn't work. But ultimately, that was Trump's burden to bear on his own, and he did.
Yeah.
If you're running for state chair, now the stain is not just on you personally as a candidate, it's on everyone else in the party. And some people don't want to have that guilt by association. You might say that's unfair. My response to that is life is unfair, and some people shouldn't be candidates, I know some good people who are convicted felons. I wouldn't want them to run for state house. They may have changed. I know they may have changed. They still might not be good candidates for state house, because that's a minus. Sometimes people are redeemed and even still want to win. Joe Bellino is a recovering alcoholic, and that did not harm his campaign. He embraced it and he used it. He actually turned it around and made it positive, and it did well for him. That can happen too. But here's the thing, guys, externalities do matter, and they matter when you're a chair as the face of the Republican Party, because you are the brand. So that is an important thing right there. Who do you think is the best candidate for the Republican brand? Jim Runestad, Meshawn Maddock, or Joe Cella? Because one of them will be. So there you go. I think I've probably said about all I have to say, and I want to get going too, because I'm an hour and a half from my home.
Oh, is it that far? Okay.
Yeah, Coldwater's a ways. Aaron's Rod says the judge is very good. The prosecution has no evidence. You say that, Rod, but some Trump judges have locked up some Jan 6ers. The Kalamazoo judge, who the local Republican Party was telling me this guy's really good, ruled with the disruptors. You just do not know until the decision is made. Yeah, Dwayne says Detzel charges innocent people. I know one well. Yes. Well,
you froze up.
Because I think it was a winnable seat.
There you go.
That doesn't mean he's not innocent.
Who?
I mean, just bad tactics.
I'm
not going to say.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I said I know a Jan 6er who wants to run for office. I wouldn't do it. You're not making it any easier for us. You might be a good candidate if you were elected, but you have to win the election. And these are hard. Mark says this convention is in my prayers because it's not just for Congress and state office in 2026, but also the locals between now and 2026. Yep. Yeah, it's a lot on the line, guys.
There's a lot on the line this election.
It's a lot on the line. So choose wisely. Be grateful that we have 3 good candidates. They all have their faults, but they all have a lot of pluses going for them too.
They do. Yep.
So good luck to them. And I guess with that, I'll call it a stream, huh? Do you have anything else that you want to talk about? Or
you want to talk about our event?
Which event? Oh, March 4th?
Yeah.
Club-a-Palooza. I don't have the flyer handy and I'm in Coldwater. Let's talk about it more on Sunday stream, okay? Save the date, guys, March 4th if you're in Southeast Michigan.
March 4th, Northville.
Right. All right, good night, guys. I will.
Yeah, Matt, good point, Matt. There's a difference between what appeals to the base and what appeals to delegates and primary voters.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah. And arguably just general election voters, right?
Yeah, that's just the way it goes.
I mean,
yep. The state chair's job is to be the face of the organization, such as they have one. And, sometimes they do a lot of work.
Did you know who the Democratic Michigan chair was? I had no clue.
Lavora Barnes, I do. But most people don't. I know most people don't, and they don't have to be. But they're still the face of the organization to the donors. And they may be the face in the news.
Yes, but
right? And they will be to the state committee members, so yeah, they are part of the brand to some extent, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So all right, guys, that will do it for us for tonight. I wish all the candidates the best on Saturday and Friday. Dan Lawless.
Yeah.
I hope to have you as district chair in the cycle to come.
Some good state committee people running from Wayne 6 as well.
Did you want to say anyone?
I don't know. Well, 2 of them are watching.
Well, it's up to you. You got 10 seconds before I close the stream.
Matt Wilk and Ron Picard.
Oh, of course, Matt and Ron. Yes. All right. Good luck, guys.
Yep.
I have no idea why you want to be on the district committee, but good for you for.
They don't want to be they want to be on the state committee. They want
state committee.
No one wants to be on a district committee. Come on.
Good. State committee. Very good. All right. No offense to Dan Lawless, who's running for district chair, but that's also state committee. So there you go.
There you go.
All right. Yep. Let's have a good Republican Party. I hope the best. I wish you all guys all the best on Friday and Saturday, and we'll see you on Sunday. We'll do a stream on Sunday. See how it all went. Talk to you guys then.
Okay.
Peace.
Bye, guys.